So let's get to the speakers. We have two amazing speakers tonight who have kindly agreed to share their wisdom. Our first one is Omotola Omotayo, and then we have Carla Gagini. So Omotola is going to go first. Omotola is a community builder, leading communities at Outreachy, and she codes Africa. She's passionate about community, open source, advocacy, diversity, equity, and inclusion. She understands how communities work and how to create an extraordinarily welcoming and safe environment for community users. So, without further ado, I'm going to ask Omotola to unmute, share her screen, and start with your talk.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you confirm you can see my screen and you can hear me very well?
Yes, you're all good, all set to go.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. I'm really happy to be speaking there. And today's session is going to be focused on community as a growth catalyst for developers. So this session is going to be focused, it's going to be for developers who are just starting their career, developers who probably are on a level. They're not just starting, they're not newbies, but they're already on a level. And experts, developers who are experts, and how so this session is going to be talking about their growth, especially how they can benefit from community. Okay, so about me, I'm a community builder and I serve as one of the outreach organizers. I work there as the community manager. I'm going to be talking about outreach during the course of my session, so let me skip that for now. And for She Code Africa, I lead the community manager team at She Code Africa. She Code Africa is a non-profit in Africa that is focused on celebrating and empower women in tech across Africa. An open source women empowerment community and DEI advocate. So most times when you see Omotola speaking about something, it's going to be either about women empowerment, open source community, just like this session, or DAI. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to highlight is community. Yes. So what is community? I want us, everyone, to see a community as group of people who come together because they have something common in them. They have a common thing that everybody in that community have, and they are there because of a benefit, not just because of that common thing that they have, but because of a benefit, or let's put it in a way, a goal. They want to achieve a goal. So my next slide is going to be talking about these benefits that you can also call the goal that they want to achieve. So these people coming together to be in a space. So community can be anything, but today we are going to be focused on developers community. So the benefits of participating in community. I mentioned earlier that community is a group of people that has they have the same, like a common characteristics, right? But they are there to benefit in a way. Some persons are there to learn. Remember, I said this session is going to be focused on beginners, people on intermediate level, and experts. So some persons are there to learn, to start their career as a developer. Some persons have already started this career. They want to improve their skills, both technical skills and soft skills. Some persons are there to network with other persons who are developers as well because they want to create like a career relationship. They want to be able to say, so let's imagine Omotola as a community manager being in a community of someone who is a front end developer. So I can say, oh, in my career circle, I know a front end developer. Oh, I know this person who is also an event manager. I know this person who is a back end developer or a mobile developer, and so on and so forth. I want to be able to grow my career and not just limit myself within my local community, but also be able to like extend beyond that. Self-awareness is another very important benefit. Some persons join community in order to not only improve their skills, but also to know what they are capable of. What do I mean? I'm going to be talking about some persons later during this session who via community they've been able to like go from let's say Omotola, I can do A, but because they belong to that community actively, they're able to say, oh, so I have this strength. So I can actually tutor another person based on what I know. Oh, this simple thing that I'm able to solve, maybe a bug that they're able to solve, and they talk about it in the community. They are able to like, then another person reach out to them that, oh, how did you solve this thing? And they're able to explain to that person. So they are able to like know more about their strengths, what they are capable of, a lot of things. They're able to get that self-awareness stage via community. Another very important benefit is to develop a sense of collaboration and contribution. This is very important, especially I mentioned that I'm open source advocate, right? This sense of collaboration is very important. The fact that Omotola is a community manager and she is a community, or a friend of mine that is a front end developer, we are both in the community. And the fact that I talk about this is what I can do, I'm passionate about this, I love advocating for this, and in a way, because I'm benefiting from this community, I find a sense of belonging in that community. Before you know, a friend of mine or the other community member will reach out to Omotola that, Omotola, there is this project I'm working on. I think your skills are going to be required here, right? And this person reaching out, wanting to collaborate with me on this particular project or with other developers on this particular project, actually is helping the community, not just the community now, the community members. So when I said community, I mean the community members. It's helping the community to build or develop a sense of contribution. Let me use open source community for example. Open source community is really powered by the community behind it. Open source project contribution now is really powered by the community behind it. The fact that what makes open source projects grow now is the fact that in the community there are a lot of several persons there with several skills who are coming together to build that particular project, who are collaborating together to develop this particular project. So that is one benefit of engaging actively in the community. Another very important thing is referral and career opportunity. I mentioned earlier about how someone reached out to me, like, let's collaborate on this project. And imagine after this project, they will be able to even refer me to more opportunities. It can be paid, it can be bigger projects that probably not even paid, but something I'm going to learn on and add that to my portfolio to get my dream job. I've had scenarios where I belong to a particular community. I reach out to a mentor of mine, which is also mentorship that we can see here. And the mentor actually invited me to collaborate with them on a particular project. And before you know it, when we were done with the project, they reach out again that there is this opportunity out there, and they couldn't think of a better person than Omotola. So this is an example of how community can actually impact your career growth. Because before you know it, Omotola, who is right now based in Nigeria, working from Nigeria, will be working on projects with people who are in another country, another continent, and so on and so forth. And before you know, you are not only improving your career, but you are also improving your knowledge and experience about different culture and different skills. Yeah. So mentorship for persons who are not on the beginner level, who are on say intermediate or experts, who feel like, oh, as a developer, I'm in a very good state. You know that kind of feeling. As a developer, I'm in a very good state. I think I can impact beginners in this community with the skills I have. And say the community create initiative like mentorship initiative that we'll have in open source. You know, people can come in as mentor, people can choose them as their mentor, and they'll be able to share resources that are going to help such person to develop their career. I mentioned earlier, and I've given several scenarios of how developers can work smarter. Say you are very good in building a web and you intend to, work on the project alone, work on the back end, front, do the UI, UX, and several other things alone from the beginning of the project to the end. It's going to take a longer period of time. It's going to require you putting more effort, and along the way, you will not be able to like see from the user perspective. You only be doing what you can think of at that moment. But you collaborating with several persons in the community, you pushing out, say you need a project manager, you need a front end developer, and so other skills like that. Coming together will help that project to not only be done faster, but also have several features that are going to serve everybody, right? So it's a smart way to work, especially in the community. Developers work smarter in the community. So though I've been giving some examples, I'm also going to be leveraging on open source projects, which is outreachy, and I'm going to be giving scenarios of folks in the outreachy program and other folks outside the outreachy program. So what is Outreachy? Outreachy is a remote paid internship opportunity that runs twice a year. And Outreachy has several mentoring community that comes together, bring their projects for interns to work on. You know, these several communities allow newbies to be introduced to open source contribution, and just like I've explained so far, they get mentorship. They have people who have other skills that they don't have, and they learn from them, and so on and so forth. They will be able to like build not just their technical skills but also their soft skills. So this first case study is Tilda. Tilda is actually an ex outreachy intern. She was also an ex mentor, and right now, this slide is not updated. We just announced her as one of the outreachy organizers. See that leverage on the power of open source, and she was able to like grow career wise because she's mentioned that she found supportive network, individuals who are ready to like who have similar experience with her and who are ready to like guide her, advise her on how to navigate the career challenges, share opportunities with her. And for every project that she worked on during this period, from her internship as a mentor and other things that she has done via community, she was able to put everything together. And that attracts potential employers like outreachy, because that was one of the things that attracts the other outreachy organizers, for them to feel like, oh, Tilda is actually a very good mentor, and she will be able to like advocate for her mentor for this program. So this connection that Tilda built via this community actually play a very essential role in helping her to secure more opportunities. So this is Miriam on the other side. Miriam is not connected to Outreachy, but in a way, Miriam started her career through the Google developers community. She was able to not only lead, she started contributing actively, bringing more folks to the community, also depending on her fellow members who ask questions. When they ask her questions, she will go and do more research because she wants to like give response to that question, right? So she was able to like increase her knowledge. She was doing a lot of research, she was giving back to the community, and she leveraged on this power of communication and collaboration. She was able to network globally. In summary, this transformed her, not just this community, not just the Google developers community, transformed her into a bigger. Okay, I think. Okay, so this is another person, Vani. Vani also has leverage on community and has been able to not only get more opportunities. Community has served as a backbone for our career growth. Margaret, on the other hand, who is a community manager as well, mentioned and highlighted how community has helped them to navigate their career. I'm trying to look at the time.
Omotola. Hi, Omotola. It's Sinead. Apologies, and it might be my end. I don't know if if your slides moved there a minute ago to show Miriam.
Um, can you still see my slides?
I can see I'm on the benefits of participating.
Oh, benefits of participating.
Now, perhaps it's just me, and apologies. But
Okay. I'm going to stop there and share again if that will help.
Perfect.
So you let me know which part of oh, and I've been
No,
speaking
it's okay.
since.
I could hear everything. I followed it. It's just that.
Okay. What about now? I'm going to stop sharing this. Can you see my screen now?
Perfect. Yeah. No, that's moved. Yeah. Lovely. Lovely. Go ahead. Yeah. Perfect.
Actively participating in
Lovely. Now
community.
it's working. Yeah. Yeah. And Carla and Liz have mentioned as well in the thing. Perfect.
Okay. So this is the
Lovely.
case
Yeah.
study
Yeah.
project.
Now they're updating. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Um,
Thanks,
so
Omotola. Thanks, guys.
okay. So I believe apologies for that. I wasn't looking through the chat because I was just looking at my slides. Okay, so this is a slide about outreachy. I've talked about outreachy. I don't want to go back there. I talk about Tilda, talk about Miriam. This slide is also going to be available after the session. So if you want to go through, and I'm going to be taking questions later in the chat. So I was talking about Vani, who is also an outreachy alum, a software engineer, and how this is actually a story of how she was able, not only able to secure an internship through Outreachy. After Outreachy, she was able to secure another internship as a software developer, a software engineer, which and she later bagged a full-time role as a software engineer. Everything about Vani's story of Vani's highlight about community has proven that community can serve as a backbone for your career growth. I mentioned Margaret on the other hand, who is a community manager just like Omotola, and via community, she was able to like get mentored that helped her, connected her to guide her on how to navigate her career. You know, because at the point when I was interviewing her, she mentioned at the point she was not sure of how or which part of her career she wants to go into fully into. But this mentor helped her to like find her way as a community manager. And right now, through community, she has discovered a love for planning events and other impactful skills that has helped her career. In summary, what I'm trying to say is it's important for you to belong to a community. One, it's important for you as a developer to not just belong to a community, to see community as a catalyst for your career growth, engage actively. So these are the steps I would recommend. Engage in discussion because some persons will join community and they will look at, oh, how can I benefit from this community? Oh, I already know of these benefits, but how can I be a partaker of these benefits? I would say you should engage in discussions. I would say you should ask for recommendation. And how can you ask for recommendation? You have to collaborate. You have to share, share what you can do. Talk about what you can do. Collaborate with people on their projects, and that way you can easily ask for recommendation because people now know what you can do. And for open source contribution, I will encourage you to look for community projects. Reach out to the project maintainer, contributor, let them know about your interests, let them know you are open to collaboration. And when you are working on all these things, make sure you pile them up, share them publicly, and pile them up in your portfolio so that you can present that to your next employer. And for people on the expert level who feel like they are very good in the aspect of their career right now, give back to the community, like help another person who is just starting as a developer to reach that place that you have by sharing opportunities with them, calling them for collaboration on projects, and so on and so forth. I hope I've been able to like convince you to not just belong to a community, but also to actively and intentionally participate and use that as a catalyst for your career growth. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I'll be in the chat. I'll take questions now.
Thanks, Omotola.
Hey, Angela. Thank you so much. That was awesome. We lost your slides a little bit in the middle, but I don't think it really mattered because your explanation was really, really clear. There is a few questions, but I am going to go first, using my privilege as host. One of the things that people find challenging when building communities is supporting new members. And I'm sure we've all had that experience of going to an event for the very first time or a meetup and not knowing anybody. From the perspective of an organizer, from the perspective of somebody who's building the community, what do you recommend we should do to help new members participate, to bring them in?
As an organizer and as a community manager, the first thing I would recommend is new members should be able to navigate your community very well. Not just, they might be lost when they join your community. So having resources or persons in place who are going to help them to navigate the community is one important thing. Then another thing is having initiatives that are tailored towards these new members, initiatives that will not make them feel overwhelmed, because before they join your community you already understand they have a reason for joining your community. So you should use this reason to tailor out initiatives that are going to meet them, and for them to be able to say, yes, I joined this community and I was able to benefit. And thirdly, and most importantly, try to include these new members in your planning, your engagement. Let them own it, like push things to them to do in a way so that they can not just join your community and maybe after a few weeks they are gone, they even forgot that they actually belong to a community. But if you are intentionally involving them in your initiatives, in your engagements, before you know it, your community will be a place where they want to be every now and then. They want to contribute to, because they see that community as part of them. This is their community, not your community. They are
Awesome, thank you.
then
Okay, so Sinead, I know you had a question. You put it into the chat. You might, you might want to say it yourself. Carla, not to put you on the spot without any preparation, I don't know if you had any questions as well for Omotola.
Well, actually, I also wanted to add my small contribution to the answer, just because I've seen many events and meetups, and one of the rules that they suggest sometimes to make people more welcome, especially newcomers, is the Pac-Man rule. I don't know if you heard about it, but basically is when you are in a conversation and it's a group of people, instead of creating a circle, you kind of leave a tiny space so anybody is welcome to join the conversation. So like, the shape of the Pac-Man game. Because it's very common, a lot of people at events and it's easy to get to your crowd. But if you, even with your body showing that you're welcome other people to join, it makes it easier for them. Yeah, that was my husband currently on the floor trying not to get on the video, but I think you saw him.
He can do a talk as well. Bring him in. Okay, got it. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, it's these simple things that count, right? These simple ideas. Sinead, I'll hand over to you. I know you had. Thanks for rescuing as well with slides.
No problem. And I was so busy listening to Omotola, I didn't spot that the slides were moving, and then the slides actually stopped. Sorry, Omotola. And again, it still didn't actually impact the message that you were saying. So well done to you on that. My question is actually very similar to Rena's question in the chat as well, and it's from the women perspective, Omotola. I was at an event here in Dublin earlier today, Tech Found Her, and it was for founders of tech companies. And some of the founders are non-tech, and actually one of them spoke about attending tech meetups, and she found it brilliant because she found trusted people in the tech community, got trusted intros, learned a bit of jargon, so was able to spot when maybe something didn't fit right or somebody wasn't making much sense. So my question is, Omotola, have you any ideas, or how can it be more popular or easier for non-tech people to join tech meetups? Which is also kind of, Frederico had a message as well, had a question about, well, how do you also then stop really knowledgeable people from having their brains picked the whole time? And here am I saying, well, how do we get brain pickers in a sense? So what's your thought of broadening and out tech meetups and tech communities to, we'll say, business people?
Okay, so one thing I have always talked to my team about, which I also want to tell people about now, is as a tech community, you should, when you're planning your event or meet up, you should seek out partnership from non-tech communities, you know, non-tech organization. Find a way to tailor how they can benefit from joining your event. So it's not just about She Code Africa Summit is coming up soon in September, and one of our goal is to be able to bring non-tech organization, but that women can benefit from to the conference. So it's not just about it has to be a tech company. No, it doesn't have to. And even non-tech companies on the other end as well, maybe they are planning their meetups, their events, reach out for collaboration. Collaborations go a long way. So reach out to tech communities as well and bring them in as partners, not just as sponsors this time, but as partners.
Fantastic. And I
Great,
think that
thank you.
covers your question, Sinead, and Rena's. There are, let's say two. There are two more which I think are really good. So Federico Sarqui, I hope I'm saying that correctly. This is a really interesting one. Once your community has started and is running for a little while, you have members with different levels of experience and knowledge, right? Junior devs, perhaps, and senior people. And I have seen this problem. Now, how do you deal with this issue where if you're trying to create an inclusive community where there are different levels, right? Because, if you look at the Linux kernel mailing list, you're expected to be up here if you want to participate. But a lot of us are trying to build communities that are much more inclusive. So I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that? It's not a problem. I know I figured out how to solve. I have to say.
Okay, so if I get the question, how do you create a sense of balance for the different levels of members that you have in your community? If I phrase, okay, I would say you have to be definitely you're going to have different levels. That is just it. Even when you're starting from a particular level, you get a point where you have different persons. When you're creating your initiatives, your events, in fact, your designs, your everything about your community you should have in mind that sense of inclusion. Inclusion, your initiative should not just be focused on newbies. It shouldn't be focused on experts. So say you are creating like a mentorship program, you are as well looking for a program that where we are going to have like a career fair. People who are on intermediate level who have already learned these skills can meet with employers. You are creating programs that are going to say how to review your CV, how to prepare for interviews. So that way, you're not just creating initiatives that are going to be tailored towards the newbies, but on people on different sides. And I'm going to add this. It is important to ask your community members question. Know what they want at different times. Ask them, how can you benefit? How can you serve them better? So when you ask them, because you planning these things alone, sometimes you might not be able to like fit everyone's shoes. But when you hear from them, you'll be able to leverage on that to push out your programs and your events.
I really like that answer because, of course, typical developer that I am, I'm thinking about how can I solve the problem, but actually maybe just listen and participate. maybe it isn't about a solution. It's just about hearing.
I can see some other
One more question.
questions in the chat. Once the second part of this session starts, I'll be in the chat answering as many as I can.
I think we have time for one more, which is also a really good one, and one that also applies to this community. And it's probably a reason that we've just stuck to this meetup format and kept the chat live at the actual events rather than rushing off to form a Slack or whatever. Because I've seen this as well, where people create a Slack and then it's just join the Slack and magic community. But I've also seen other people run a Slack or a Discord and it works really, really well. So how do you? Yeah, I think the question is more. You can't just set up a Slack channel and off you go. The question is a little bit deeper, right? How do you get the companies to value and prioritize community as a community and not just not just for lead generation. It's a tough one, right? Because companies exist to make money.
I think I get the person's perspective, and I would say it's greatly it's how your manner of how you reach out. You know, reaching out to a company to actually talk about your community. You have to talk about where you started from, like the background. Why do you have your community? Who are your target audience? What have you been doing so far? And facts, you have to add facts about the things you've done so far, the impact. You don't just talk about we've been able to impact this number of persons. You need to show that you have actually impacted this number of persons, and you're not just about the money. Say your community is a community that sells products, and I think at the point I managed a community that was the product community that was money based, like they're selling their products. But at the same time, when we started the community, our main focus wasn't just about the community members talking about our products. We had to like think of how can these community members also benefit from this community. So they're talking about our products, they are advocating about the products, pushing out the marketing part of it, but in a way they're also benefiting. So say we want to reach out to a partner, we can leverage on all these things, pie them up in a very good way, and convince the partner that, oh, this is what we have been able to do in a way.
Marvelous. Thank you so much. Omotola, thank you for your talk and for answering the questions. Lots of stuff to talk about, and those weren't easy questions. They're kind of these are people who are dealing with serious real world community issues. So thank you also to our questioners. Okay, well, let's